Do you know the biggest factor that determines how successful you are on your diet is how long you can stick to your diet for? If you cannot stick to your diet for longer than at least 90 days, then that is a bad diet. Here's 10 things to know that will make dieting way more effortless. So the first thing is to have filler snacks between meals. So filler snacks are just something you can nibble on between meals so that you can just feel full and get through the day. They're usually very low calorie, like zero sugar jelly. It's 6 calories per serving of zero sugar jelly. You can literally have a massive bowl of air popped popcorn that will be delicious. It will be a treat. Sometimes you just need something to nibble on. There's periods during my diet when I'm not necessarily hungry, but I sort of just want a snack that I could sort of bite on and nibble on. Air popped popcorn was my go-to because you can make a massive bowl of air popped popcorn and it will only be about 120 calories. All you have to do is put a dash of butter salt on that and it is delicious. You're good to go for your cut. You should also consider incorporating fruit into your diet because fruits generally have a lot of water in them, which keeps them low calories. Think of watermelon. It's literally 95% water. If you have 100 grams of watermelon, that's about 30 calories. So you can imagine just incorporating fruit bowls. You can add watermelon, pineapple, strawberries, blueberries, and you can literally make an entire fruit bowl for like 200 calories and that will be super filling. All you have to do is add some zero-fat Greek yogurt to that fruit bowl and that feels like a meal in it of itself. Eating the same thing every single day. You can do this by meal prepping chicken and rice or things that you eat every single day. So you can literally meal prep chicken, rice and broccoli and meal prep for the next 4 days. When you prep exactly what you're going to eat and if you eat the same thing every single day in the same quantities, then it takes away tracking errors that you might have, because if you eat different things each day, what if you can't track those calories properly? But if you eat the same thing each day, it's much easier to track calories properly, and if you're not in a calorie deficit, you can just make adjustments to what you're eating since you're eating the exact same thing every single day. It just makes your journey a lot more precise and it takes guesswork out of it. For me, when my food intake is locked into a structured routine, cutting just feels absolutely effortless because it's almost like my brain switches on to autopilot mode and time just flies. I'm not taking the cut day by day, but I'm sort of taking the cut week by week because I'm not thinking about the food as much. I'm not thinking of, am I in a calorie deficit? It's sort of just automatic because I know my food intake is locked in. I know I'm eating the same thing every single day consistently. Next is caffeine maxing. If you guys aren't using the benefits of caffeine, then you guys are absolutely slacking because caffeine is one of the best appetite suppressants that you can get on the market. In fact, all fat burners is just caffeine with fancy labels on it. Every single fat burner on the market has caffeine as its main ingredient. If you can just go straight to the source and have caffeine, that will be good. You can do it through a black coffee like me, or you can just take caffeine tablets. They help you get through your morning fast or reduce your appetite in general. For me, I fast in the morning and have my first meal 5 hours after I wake up. I slam a black coffee like 1 or 2 hours after I wake up, and then that gets me through until I break my fast and have lunch. I literally don't feel the hunger that much because caffeine literally lowers your hunger hormones. The funny part is I notice a big difference the days when I don't take caffeine. I don't take caffeine on weekends, so I really feel the hunger pangs a lot more on weekends just because I didn't hit my caffeine, and the caffeine actually helps a lot. It makes cutting way easier. Now the next thing is to follow the 80-20 rule when it comes to diet. Following the 80-20 rule, it gives you the sense and the mental relief that you're not tied and you're not put in a box. You're not eating chicken, rice and broccoli 24/7, but you actually leave 20% of your calories to foods that you actually enjoy. So 80% of your calories are coming from clean, whole, organic foods, and then the 20% are foods that you enjoy. It could be a snack that's not necessarily that good in terms of calories. It might not have that much protein, but if you leave room for foods that just taste good, that you enjoy, as long as these calories are tracked and within your daily calories, then it makes dieting way easier and it feels like less of a pain. So there was actually a time where I completely cut out processed sugars from my diet entirely, and I was supposed to go 1 month without processed sugars, but 1 week in, the cravings were just so bad. In fact, the cravings were so bad, the second day in, I was not going to last on that diet, and guess what? I actually binged and I got off the diet completely, and I just wasn't able to stick to that diet because it's so restrictive, no processed sugar entirely. But when I started implementing chocolate here and there, 20% of my calories could be like a sweet, an ice cream, something like that. When I incorporated that into my daily routine, I found it easy. Actually, it didn't feel like dieting because I had foods that I enjoyed, and 20% of the time I was eating an ice cream bar, a chocolate bar within my calories. If I had 2,000 calories each day, 400 calories of those would be foods that I actually enjoy, and then the 1,600 calories would be clean, whole, organic, healthy foods. And because I'm I'm in a calorie deficit still, I still lose weight. It just makes dieting way easier. It just makes sticking to a diet way easier. And the most important factor when it comes to dieting is adherence. How long can you stick to your diet? If your diet is ultra restrictive and you can't stick to it for long enough, then it's not a good diet, because you're not going to be able to stick to it long enough to see real world results. The next thing is to eat satiating foods. So just because a food is high calories doesn't mean it's satiating and filling, and just because the food is low calories doesn't mean that it's not satiating. There's literally foods that are low in calories but give you that feeling of being full. You can eat a chocolate that ends up being like 1,000 calories and you literally don't feel full after. Or you can eat something low calorie dense, think like a watermelon, and you can eat 200, 300 calories of watermelon and it will fill up your whole stomach. That's satiating foods. So there's no correlation between the amount of calories in a food versus how satiating it is. There's foods like oats, potatoes, brown rice that are super satiating. They give you that feeling of fullness even though the calories aren't that high. So I'm eating satiating foods every single day, and that's what you should do. Nextly is doing cardio. Cardio actually increases your calorie expenditure, meaning that you can eat more food and still be in a calorie deficit. I'll give you an example. Imagine somebody's maintenance calories is 2,000 calories and they don't do any activity, they don't walk, they don't have any step, they don't have any activity level in their life, and they're eating 2,000 calories. Imagine if that same person did 10,000 steps each day and went to the gym 4 times a week, and his calorie expenditure increases by like 300 or 400 calories per day. So now he's burning 2,400 calories each day. It means that you're just using more energy each and every day. That's why I stick to low intensity cardio, because low intensity cardio doesn't have the effect of increasing hunger as much as high intensity cardio. A lot of people think running burns more calories. Yes, it does. But do you know what else running does? Running increases your hunger. So even though you're burning more calories, now you're going to be more hungry. So you want to do low intensity cardio. For me, that was just walking, getting 10,000 steps a day. And then after I did walking, I started supplementing, incline walking on a treadmill. But just burning more calories means that you can eat more food and still be in that calorie deficit. Remember, there's inputs and outputs. Input is how much food you're eating. Output is how much food you're burning. You can either lower the amount of food you're eating, which I personally don't want to do. I would rather burn more calories than lower the amount of food I'm eating. I want to eat a high volume of food, but still be in that calorie deficit and still be able to burn fat. So if you want to turn into an absolute fat burning machine, then you have to start burning more calories so that you can still keep food high and actually enjoy your life. Nextly is I started adding volume to meals. So adding volume to meals for me was adding a low calorie food like vegetables or egg whites that make it more filling and take more space in your stomach. When you have voluminous food, they're just gonna take more space in your stomach, which can make you feel more full. So if I was having a chicken wrap, I would just add a whole bunch of lettuce, a whole bunch of like spinach, some sort of vegetable that was just gonna add volume to the meals, because vegetables are usually low in calories anyway. So instead of having a small chicken wrap, I'll just have that chicken wrap, but within that chicken wrap I'll put a whole bunch of salad, a whole bunch of lettuce, a whole bunch of veggies, just to fill it up, just to make it feel like more food. And that wrap will literally be so big now and so filling. Dieting feels more effortless. Nextly is using sugar-free beverages. Now think of it like this. There's 2 beverages. One is 0 sugar, one is normal sugar. So one is 200 calories, the other one is 0 calories. They taste almost exactly the same. Let's use Fanta as an example. Let's say it's Fanta. Why would you choose the one that has 200 calories when you can just choose the one that has 0 calories that tastes almost exactly the same? Now, if you use sugar-free beverages, to me it feels like almost like a cheat code, and it makes dieting way easier because it's like empty calories. Drinking water before each meal. When you drink water before a meal, it just takes space in your stomach, which makes you feel more full, so that when you eventually eat that meal, your stomach is gonna stretch and you just have that feeling of fullness. A lot of dieting is just tricking yourself, tricking your mind, making your stomach feel full, and that's what makes dieting simple. Lastly is just a mindful one, but have trigger foods out of sight. If you know there's a snack that you really like, even if it's in your house, as long as you can't really see it, as long as it's out of sight, it's out of mind. But if you're constantly walking around your house and you see Oreos just out, you're gonna get cravings for Oreos because you've seen it every single time and you know you can't have it, so you're just gonna get tempted. But imagine if you had those Oreos in the top cupboard where you can't see them. Now you might even forget there's Oreos in your house, and that's what it's all about. Because if you're not constantly seeing that are triggering you, then you'll be less likely to indulge. But if you're constantly refreshing your mind, oh, there's Oreos, oh, there's chips there, and you know you can't have any of those, you're just gonna end up craving them, and then in the end you're just gonna binge your diet and just give up on your diet completely.